Thanks for hitting up the channel, folks. I'm Andy, your Electric Geek, and in this video we're going to be looking at everything I've been picking up over the last wee while. I have to say, I've been feeling the cost of living. I've not been buying quite as much as I normally do, and some of this stuff was bought weeks ago, but it's only seen the light of the camera now. But I'm keeping things ticking over, and I've been going to CEX as always, and you know, finding ways to buy movies on the cheap. But there are some new ones in there also. So there's 10 titles to cover today. There's even a DVD special edition in there. This might be the first time a DVD has made it into a video. Surely not. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me, the ones that have been there from the beginning. But I promise that's the only one you'll see. The rest are Blu-rays, and there's a good few 4Ks at the end, and there's even a Steelbook in there. Right, so the DVD. It's not just any DVD though. It is of my favourite film of all time, Blade Runner. Right now, if Blu-ray Baz is watching this, he knows that I was wanting the 5 cuts. I was desperate for the 5 cuts of Blade Runner. I knew they existed, but for some reason I didn't think to own them really. And when he kind of pointed it out to me during a previous Blade Runner video that I did, as soon as I found it out, I just became obsessed. I needed to get it. Now ideally I would like to have had them on Blu-ray or 4K. I know there was a version of the 4K that came out which had them all on Blu-ray. Might even have been 4K, the alternate cuts, but there certainly would have been HD anyway. But it was just so expensive on eBay and even in CEX, and then I found this in my Glasgow CEX, so in the Forge, and it was only 10 quid. I seen it on the app, and I was up there with work, and I thought I'll nip in and see what it's like. Now I fully expected it to be in terrible nick, all scuffed and all the rest of it. But lo and behold, as you can hopefully see in the video, it's actually in really good condition. Now this must be about 15 years old, more than that maybe. Probably came out in 2007. So about 16 years old, and it's held up really well. You can see it's got a couple of little scuffs on it and stuff, but second hand for £10, and I've already got 4K versions, really happy with that. So this has all the cuts, so you open it up, I'll do a bit of an unbox for you, but you open it up and then you get this like kind of collector's wallet inside. I believe this was a version in its own right, just the kind of cardboard box, but the tin's a really nice addition. And there's stuff inside as well. There's all the stuff that came in the briefcase that came out around the initial release of the 2007 final cut. A lot of the trinkets that were in that, I've made it into this tin as well. And I'll not open it here because it'll end up all over the place, but I have done a Blue Peter unboxing one I did earlier, and you'll see the bits and bobs that are in it. But absolutely delighted to finally have them. I've seen the theatrical cut before, but you've now got the working print, the theatrical cut, the US theatrical cut, the director's cut, and of course the final cut. Is that all 5? I think that's them all. But yeah, I've enjoyed working my way through them, and although I have seen a lot of the special feature material, there was a fair bit that I hadn't. So really pleased to have it, and it's actually quite a nice little addition to my ever-growing Blade Runner physical media collection. But yeah, that's the DVD. So apologies for having a DVD in here, but now you know why. So the next 3 Blu-rays I actually got very recently, and a friend of mine, subscriber to the channel, Big Al, he was actually in the store at the time, and he stopped me in the queue. So if you're watching it, mate, you know what these films are going to be, because you had a wee swatch and we had a chat in the queue. But the first film is American Sniper. Now the stickers are still on it. I've done a video which I'll link on how to get them off fairly easily. I just haven't done it with these yet because I've not long got them. But I'm not going to lie, it was the slip that sold me in this one. I have seen American Sniper before, the true life story of the American Sniper, Chris Kyle. Directed by Clint Eastwood, and Chris Kyle is played by Bradley Cooper, and Sienna Miller plays his wife. Really, really good movie from what I recall. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I won't spoil it, but it's quite a tragic story about what happened to this guy. But a good war film, and it doesn't glamorise war, you know, it's a realistic kind of telling of this guy's life and the kind of toll it takes being a sniper and having to obviously get up close and personal in a way through the lens when taking people's life in the name of your country. But yeah, really good, and looking forward to watch it again. And as I say, it's the embossing on the slip there that sold me. Really nice condition. I thought for $150 I'll watch American Sniper again all day long. Not even checked, it might have the digital copy in there, so if you want it, let us know in the comments and I'll see if I can get it to you. But it also has Dolby Atmos on the Blu-ray, so hopefully it will sound really nice as well. I've not heard it in Dolby Atmos, so looking forward to sticking that one in the player. Then next up's a film that I haven't actually seen, so a bit of a bargain for £2, and that is Steven Spielberg's Bridge of Spies. Now, I've just came off the back of watching The Fabelmans, and I'm in the mood to catch up on the Spielberg I haven't seen. I've actually quite a lot of Spielberg movies I haven't seen, and this is one of them. I know that Mark Rylance won an Oscar for his performance as the, is it KGB? As the spy that's defecting basically to the West during the Cold War, as it says on the front there, inspired by true events. So I'm looking forward to watching that one. Actually, it's 6 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, but Mark Rylance definitely won for Best Supporting Actor, I think it was. But yeah, Tom Hanks can't really go wrong, especially when he's teaming up with Steven Spielberg. And I had the slip, it's in nice condition. Again, another one that potentially has the digital copy inside, so let us know if you're interested in it. And only £2. So yeah, another one I'm looking forward to watching. And then another one of my favourite films of all time, Casino Royale. This is such an important Bond film. I'm a massive James Bond fan, and Daniel Craig and Sean Connery are probably neck and neck as my favourite Bonds. I think I was being really honest. I think Daniel Craig is more range as an actor and has a much more interesting arc across his 5 films than Connery. But I'm a Scotsman, aren't I? And I'm not going to give Daniel Craig outright first over Sean Connery. No way. And at the end of the day, he wouldn't even be playing that role if it wasn't for Sean Connery and how he portrayed him and, you know, skyrocketed Bond on the silver screen into the stratosphere as he did all those years ago back in 1962 with Dr. No. So he's still neck and neck with Sean Connery for me. But this is just a version I've wanted for ages. I had this standard Blu-ray for years and years of Casino Royale. It's actually the first Blu-ray I ever bought, or it came with my PS3 actually as it was, but it was the first Blu-ray I got my hands on back in 2006 or early 2007. And this came out a few years after, and I just never upgraded. I wasn't as big into physical media as I am now then. I wasn't quite the collector I am now rather. So I was happy with the Blu-ray that I had. But seeing this going, I think it was £2 in my Urban CEX a couple of months ago, and it's in really nice condition. There's actually loads of these in CEX, certainly the ones down my way. There's hundreds of them, it seems to be. But this was in really nice condition. It was only £2. So absolutely delighted to add this to the collection, and it has a kind of picture-in-picture special director's commentary with Michael G. Wilson, the producer, and Martin Campbell, the director, which I watched the other day, or I had it on the background as I was working from home actually, and it was really, really good. Really well done, and it's a bit of an extra touch actually being able to see them on the screen as well when they're, you know, talking about stuff or having a laugh together. And there's, as always with director's commentaries, you get plenty of good little nuggets in there. And there's also a Know Your Own 00, the ultimate James Bond trivia quiz, which is pretty good. I thought it'd be quite an easy one, but I didn't actually get them all, and I'm a bit of a sweat when it comes to Bond. I think I got like 16 out of 20 or something. So if you have this or you get it, stick it on, let me know what your score was in the comments. But yeah, really happy to add the deluxe edition of Casino Royale to the collection. Next up's another CX find from Air, and that is the Royal Tenenbaums. Now this is only the second Criterion Blu-ray that I've added to the collection, and funnily enough, the first one was also a Wes Anderson movie. It was The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, which I love. I just like Wes Anderson. I know he's became almost a bit cliched and people parody him on Instagram and stuff using his very distinct symmetrical visual style that he applies to all his later movies certainly. But I've not seen the Royal Tenenbaums in ages. Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou is the one that I'm kind of most familiar with, but I've recently watched Rushmore, and the Grand Budapest Hotel was fantastic as well, and Mr. Fox and all that. So I might actually get them all on Criterion and then branch out from there. But seen this going for £10, which is pretty good for a Criterion and CX, and snagged it. And it still had, you can see my receipt in there from Air. But yeah, love these Criterion ones. I love the little booklets you get, the work that goes into it. You can tell this label love movies and a proper purist when it comes to, you know, getting them in the home video format in the best possible quality. Usually the grade and the transfers overseen by the director. Yeah, just as I'm looking at it now, supervised by director Wes Anderson. So you can't go wrong. It's the best way to watch these. I know you'll be able to get this on Blu-ray, standard Blu-ray, but I think if you like these movies and you like the Royal Tenenbaums, then get it on the Criterion one. So number 2 in the Criterion collection. And then the Steelbook and the last Blu-ray I'm going to show you. So it's Wanted. Loved this movie when it came out and not seen it for ages. Watched half of it the other night and I still enjoyed it. I think it still kind of holds up. It's an adaptation of a Mark Millar comic book, which I haven't read, but I think it's fairly faithful to it, certainly, in its kind of style and its kind of ultra violence. It was an early kind of starring role for James McAvoy, and he would obviously go into big things playing Professor Xavier in X-Men, a much more famous comic book character. But he's really good in this, and he has a very convincing American accent, given that he's Scottish. I think he's from Renfrewshire, just up the road from where I come from. And of course, Angelina Jolie and Morgan Freeman. Really good action flick. The kind of effects and stuff were ahead of its time then, but they're pretty samey and pretty kind of standard fare now, but still enjoyable. A couple of cracking needle drops in this also. But yeah, Wanted, can't really go wrong. Ugly Steelbook, I have to say, like horrible with all that on the back, you know, the specs and stuff. Early days of Steelbooks, I think. This one would have been about 2008, this came out 2009. But loads and loads of special features, as you can see there. It was the early days of Blu-ray, so they would go all out with these to try and get people to jump across to the format. And it's got all sorts on it, all the interactive stuff, which sadly, you know, the internet link stuff, which isn't available anymore because the servers aren't there. But still plenty of good stuff, like the picture-in-picture stuff. Universal's early Blu-rays were really, really good. And for £2 with barely a scratch on it, I thought, why not? That'll do. It's not out in 4K. Hopefully we'll get it one day, but this will probably do me on Blu-ray. Another CAX pickup for £8 was Mortal Kombat. So bought off the hype of Mortal Kombat 1 coming out for the PS5 and Xbox Series X shortly. I enjoyed this at the cinema, haven't seen it since, and I thought, you know what, it's probably one that will look nice on my new TV. I'll be doing a video on that soon, but I've recently upgraded to the Sony A90J 65-inch OLED. Older model, but I got a cracking price on it, and it was a flagship Sony model back in 2021, 22. So delighted with it, and everything looks great on it. So I'm sure this is going to look really nice on it also. They're currently filming Mortal Kombat 2. I know that this was a bit polarising with Mortal Kombat fans, but I enjoyed it. The original was a bit of a classic. Annihilation's absolutely terrible. But yeah, I thought this was an interesting reboot. And if you haven't seen it, it doesn't actually get to the point of the tournament. It's a kind of set-up movie. I'm hoping that's what's going to come into fruition in the second film. And Johnny Cage is going to be in it. And he's been cast. It's Karl Urban that's been cast as Johnny Cage. So that'll be good. But yeah, I recommend checking it out. If you like video games, you like Mortal Kombat, definitely worth a watch. And for £8, I thought it was a no-brainer adding it to the collection. Now on to ones that I did actually buy new. Before I ran out of money and the cost of living crisis bit me in the backside. This is one I wanted right from the day it first got announced, but I just held off, and I'm glad I did because I got it in the Arrow summer camp sale there. And it's Clive Owen and the Croupier. This is Arrow's release. It's the 4K version as well, and I got it for $14.99 in the sale. So delighted with that. I'm sure it was $24.99 when it first came out. But you get a nice poster with it. As always, it's got the reversible art. You'll see in a little video that I've done for you what it kind of looks like inside. But a really, really nice polished release of this film. Wish I could tell you what it looked like, but I haven't actually got into watching it yet. It's high on the watch list. It's a 2-disc. The feature is on the 4K disc, and like a lot of Arrow movies actually, it's a 4K native presentation, recently remastered, and the HDR grading is in HDR10, but it's also in Dolby Vision. And you get uncompressed audio in the form of DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. Absolutely rammed with special features. I won't bother reading them all out to you, but you also get a second disc of bonus material. And what's interesting about this one is that if you're into Mike Hodges, who directed this film, by the way, who also did Get Carter, there's a new feature-length documentary with him on it, basically a kind of career retrospective looking back at all his works. And a lot of people are saying it's actually worth buying this just for that. I think it is exclusive to this release. I'm not sure if it's on the 4K Get Carter, but if you have that or you're planning on buying that, certainly check that out first. I haven't watched it yet, so I can't comment, but I'm certainly looking forward to watching that documentary just as much as I am watching the movie. I haven't seen it, so if anyone's seen The Croupier, or even better, seen it in 4K, then you can comment down below and let me know what it's like. And last up was a 2 for $24 out of my local HMV in Ayr. Two films I've seen before, but I'm thrilled to add them to the collection, and that is Ridley Scott's The Martian. Now it's not just The Martian, it's The Martian Extended Edition on 4K. No slip, unfortunately. I'm not sure if this ever had a slip. I never ever see it with a slip on the shelf, but just pleased to have it. I've seen the standard one going all the time in CX, but I held off because when I found out there was an extended one, that's the one I wanted. You get both cuts, but it is only the extended edition on the 4K disc. The theatrical one, I believe, is on the Blu-ray, and then you get a bonus disc as well with all the features on it and stuff. Haven't even had it in my machine yet, but I believe it's high spec. Not sure how this was filmed, but I know it gets used, you know, with kind of TV review YouTubers and stuff for testing colour gradation, because there's a lot of similar colours in this. Even the artwork there, you can see there's a lot of kind of burnt oranges, reds, earthy tones, and TV reviewers use it to kind of test a TV's ability to smooth out gradation and to check for banding, basically, if a TV doesn't have the kind of processing power to make that come across nicely on screen. So technical stuff aside, it's actually a good film as well though, and I haven't seen it for a while, so it'll be good to watch it again in 4K with the kind of extended scenes that I've not seen before. So definitely looking forward to checking that out, and I love Ridley Scott, so I would quite like to have all his films down the line on physical media. So there you go, the Martian Extended Edition for 12 quid. And last but not least, a 90s classic, and that is Speed on 4K Blu-ray. Now again, I've not had this one in yet, but I was patient with this as well to make sure I got one from HMV that had the slip. Quite like the slip on this. It's almost a little bit of embossing on the 4K Ultra HD at the front there, and I really like the artwork that they've put on the front of the 4K. I had this on Blu-ray for ages, and it was a kind of close-up of Jack with his kind of bomb disposal vest on, and the titling was in yellow. Didn't have a slipper in. I never really liked it, but this is much better. I love that they've got the bus on it, and you know, a little bit of spot gloss on the title there for Speed. Lovely looking artwork on it, and it's a native 4K scan. I'm sure they went back to the 35mm negative, and just checking for you, no Dolby Atmos in this one, just DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. But I see this all the time on Facebook pages for 4K collectors and on Instagram and stuff. People just screen grabbing it and saying they can't believe how good Speed looks. So it's one I'm really looking forward to, as I say, getting on my new TV to see the cracking transfer. And it's been a while since I watched it, so really looking forward to checking out Speed, and I think getting it for £12 brand new with a slip was a good bit of business indeed. Just something to note on this is that you also get a director's commentary from Jan de Bont on this, who of course directed Speed, but before that he was the director of photography on other films, big films like Die Hard being the most kind of notable one, before he ended up getting his own picture. But my understanding of the commentary in this is that it's a bit of a kind of how-to guide of how to go about directing your first movie. I don't know what the reason for that was in the director's commentary. Normally they're just, you know, what it says in the tin, director's commentary, bit of trivia, bit of insider info, but I think he kind of goes off script a bit here and starts giving a bit of a coaching session on how to become a filmmaker. The only reason I've not actually listened to it, the reason I know that is because I've recently been listening to director's commentaries, and I googled top 5 or, you know, best commentaries to listen to, and Jan de Bont's commentary from Speed keeps popping up there, so I thought I would just mention that in case you don't have this. Get it if you like director's commentaries, just to listen to Jan de Bont. But that's everything. I hope you've enjoyed the video. In fact, there's just one more. There's The Last of Us, which I've also picked up recently, but I have done a dedicated review on that, so I'll not go on about it too much, but you can see it over my shoulder there. I got that slightly discounted as well, but it's a fantastic series and it looks fantastic on 4K Blu-ray, so definitely check that out. But as I say, I'll link in the description the dedicated 4K review for that one. So that's how the collecting's going. That's what I've added to the collection recently. Let me know, what have you guys been adding? What have you guys been buying? What are you excited for coming out on 4K in the future? Let me know in the comments. As I say, I like getting back to you there and having a bit of a chat about physical media. But until then, keep buying 4K Blu-rays, keep enjoying movies in the home, and I'll see you in the next video.